Hey, this is Evan Marquez, dating coach for smart, strong, successful women, your personal trainer for love, back from my big summer vacation. New York City, Cooperstown, New York Baseball Hall of Fame, Boston and Fenway Park, up to Maine in a minivan, 17 days with my family. Maybe I'll post some pictures on social, maybe I won't, but it really was a great time, and I have nothing but positive vibes. I am excited, however, to get back to work, and so here we are. Today's podcast is A Man Who Loves You Will Never Do This, and I know you're dying to know what this is. Before you die, make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Apple or Spotify. Leave us a positive review. Give us some comments on YouTube. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss any content as it comes out. And if you're really a fan, share it with a friend. People care. So here's what this is. This is far bigger than any one short podcast can be, because this is about making a sustained effort over time. And this is the one thing that you can't tell from a guy, no matter what you do. And it's one of the hardest things about dating and relationships, and you know it yourself. You've had the experience of being with a guy who is really amazing for the first 4 weeks, right? I had a client once she was 70, she got a boyfriend. He was incredible for 6 weeks, and in week 7, he became a jerk and just pulled away and stopped making an effort. And there are men who do the exact same thing after 6 months, and there are men who stop doing the exact same thing after a year and a half, and there are men who stop making an effort after they're finally married or after they have kids. Something in them shifts, and they go into some sort of selfish mode, and in a very human way, and where people take their loved ones for granted. I was having this conversation just the other night. Think about who you are nicest to in the world. You're more not likely to be nice to the checkout person at the supermarket or a client you're servicing than you are to your own mother or your own boyfriend. It's kind of interesting how with familiarity we end up taking people for granted, which again is not to blame you for his lack of effort. And so, big thing when we're judging relationships, in Love You anyway, we're judging men not just on the externals, which matter, right? How he looks and whether he's smart and whether he's funny and whether he has a decent job, and those things are always going to be there. But if I've got my own private scorecard, what I'm paying attention to is his consistent effort over time. One of the things we've said for many, many years is it's not what happens on the date, it's what happens after the date. How quickly does he follow up again to say, I can't wait to see you again? Does he proactively make plans, or does he wait for you to reach out to him? Is he taking a proactive approach to your relationship? Is he taking a passive approach to your relationship? Is he the one who's talking about coming home to his family for Thanksgiving? Is he the one who's talking about you guys possibly moving in together, or when you get engaged, or when you have kids? Right? Or does he have to be led there? There's no substitute for effort, because effort reveals what someone's already thinking. I've been a coach for women for over 20 years, and there's a lot of questions. What is he thinking? We're afraid to have the conversation, and it's usually not terribly surprising to find out what a guy's thinking. He will reveal what he's thinking, right? Either with his actions or his inactions. If you're dating a guy who's never, ever brought up marriage in the entire time you've been dating him, what does that tell you? He probably doesn't want to get married. Right? That's the truth. It would be really weird if a guy was marriage oriented and he never once mentioned marriage. So when we're talking about effort, we pay attention at the beginning. I do a thing with my clients where we get on the phone, where people are considering coaching, and do a free breakthrough call, and I hold up my little post-it note, and we outline your entire future, and we talk about how this is where you're going. Your future is a destination, and right now most people are sort of stuck or spinning right in the same old patterns that they're having trouble breaking unbeknownst to them. So my job is to get you unstuck on the road to your future. So You're the vehicle. You have to supply the gas. But so does he, because that's how relationships move. He's driving the relationship forward. And the best predictor, not a guaranteed predictor, as to whether you're going to have a future is the very, very beginning. Right? Finding whether there's red flags at the beginning, whether there's a smooth escalation process. In Love You, we always talk about relationships being easy. Right? Easy basically does not mean everything's perfect or you agree on everything. Easy means that I know that my partner cares, prioritizes me, and is always going to make an effort to do the right thing by me. And so effort takes on all sorts of forms. In early phase dating, effort is, what are you doing tonight? What are you doing tomorrow? When can I see you again? Effort is reaching for the check. Effort is telling you that he's excited about you and he can't stop thinking about you and that you're really beautiful. Effort is, I am choosing to take down my dating profile after 5 weeks. And I don't want to see anybody else. I want to see just you. These are small stakes things that guys do at the beginning of the relationship to let you know that they are relationship oriented. And now that you have a boyfriend, right, and that could be, as I said, after about a month, you have this big, big window of a time, which is why I very much like the CEO-Intern metaphor, right? That men are interns applying for a job, and just because they are good at interviewing or have an impressive resume doesn't mean that they get the job, and it doesn't mean they can keep the job forever. They're not tenured professors who, just because they were good for the first 3 months, means they're in for the rest of their life. Metaphorically, you might have to do a quarterly evaluation, but it's not even a quarterly evaluation. That sounds way too formal. You're basically evaluating how you feel every day. I had a friend who created an app. I don't know if it exists anymore. It was called the Boyfriend Log, and it was just a color-coded calendar where at the end of the day she would check in on her mood. Red, he made me feel bad. Yellow, okay. Green, good. If you're with a boyfriend and your feelings are in the red zone on the majority of days, chances are that guy's not making a very good effort for you, or whatever effort he's making you feel belittled, anxious. Right? Either way, it's not a good sign. So just because a guy makes an effort, by the way, doesn't mean he's a great guy. There are guys who are indeed love bombers. There are guys who are indeed stalkers. There are guys who are completely controlling. There are guys who dive into the pool and then dive right out of the pool because they're afraid to swim. Right? They get really excited about getting you but don't want to keep you. There's not much you can do if a guy acts like a really good guy and then the mask slips off and you realize, oh, he's not as great as I thought he was. But what you can do, what you do have going for you is the ability to continue to evaluate, how do I feel? Is this relationship getting better and better and better and more solid as time goes by? Or did he do a colossal effort in wooing me and catching me? And now that he has me, he spends more time with his guy friends. He spends more time at his work. He spends more time training for his triathlon. He spends more time gaming or in his fantasy football league, right, than he does on me. Because a lot of people do that. Not consciously to hurt you. They're just showing you what their priorities are. You might fall fifth in his priorities list. You want a guy who puts you certainly near the top, certainly up there with his job and his kids, rather than feeling like you're at the bottom of the barrel and just waiting for any sort of scraps. And so there's circumstances for why people act the way they act. If a guy's not making an effort, consider the circumstances. Maybe it is August and maybe he is gone for 2 weeks driving his 2 kids and moving them in at college. That doesn't mean he's not interested in you. That means he's got a lot on his plate at that point in time. Those are mitigating factors, right? But we're really looking for a through line, because the truth is, wherever you are, unless you're in the deep recesses of the Amazon jungle, you have access to a phone. You could call, you could text, you could say, I'm thinking of you. You can make a plan for when you return from wherever you are. Very few people are that busy, especially if they have a relationship, that they don't have a moment to connect and listen and be present and make a plan for the next time they see each other. If he's not doing that, that says something either about his character or his desire or the timing. In a way, it almost doesn't matter why. All you know is if he's making an effort, it's much easier to feel safe and relaxed and vulnerable around him because you never have to wonder when the other shoe's going to drop. When a guy starts pulling away, what does that say? Doesn't mean he's an evil guy. It means he's experiencing mixed messaging in his head. He's confused, and because he's confused, it makes you confused. That's not a healthy status quo for a relationship. So there's always this temptation to figure out how do I change him, right? He was, Evan, you don't understand. He was the best boyfriend I ever had for like 5 months. And as I said, the mask slips off. The problem is, this is the real him. The first 5 months was the audition. That was the tryout. That was the interview. That was him getting the job. So we don't get to turn back the clock and turn someone into who they were at the very beginning during the early phase honeymoon of your relationship. We have to realize the person he is right now is a better predictor of who he's going to be for the rest of his life. No one can recapture the newness of a burgeoning relationship. That's a wonderful, magical feeling. But a good relationship sustains, right? It doesn't dip. And that's why I always do my hand gestures on these YouTube videos. My relationship did not start off high, oh my God, you're my soulmate. It started at a solid level, right? And just got better and better and better and better and better over time with the time spent and the trust and the inside jokes and the common experiences and the integration of friends and family. It's what relationships should be. They should build a firmer foundation, not one that gets weaker over time. But I will admit that is very rare. And that's why you have to pay attention to your emotions. You can't ignore when a guy is not making an effort. You have to flag that. So I've said before, relationships don't take work. They take effort. It's like watering a garden. It's like getting to the gym 3 days a week. Right? It's not work, but it is consistent effort. You need a guy who's completely on board naturally. You shouldn't have to talk him into it. You shouldn't have to cajole him. You shouldn't have to remind him. You shouldn't have to nag him. It's the thing he does. Why? Because he takes, like a person who has a regular job, he takes pride in his work. He shows up every day. He does the best that he can. If he has an off day, he owns it and he does better the next day. That's how certain people show up in life. And those are the only people I really believe who have the possibility of even making you happy. So pay attention to your emotions. Pay attention to his effort. If he cannot give you sustained effort, not talking about circumstance, I just got fired from my job, I'm taking care of my mom in hospice. Right, that's a different ball of wax. But on a very baseline level, how is he showing up for you? Not month 1, not month 3, but month 6 and 12 and 27. Is he still the same guy? Right? Are you seeing cracks in the armor? And is his behavior getting worse? Because if so, I don't think that's a thing that you turn around. I think that's a ship that you have to abandon. And maybe no one else will say that to you, but I'll say that to you because I think it's really important that you don't invest too much time in someone who doesn't have the capability of taking care of you long-term, if indeed you're looking for a long-term relationship, right? A guy who's good for a year but sucks for the next 30, that's not what we're looking for. So, little housekeeping notes. I got my feedback from my survey. I am going through that. I am trying to very quickly implement some of what I learned, taking your feedback and putting it into practice, putting stuff on my website. Hopefully, by the time this podcast airs, I will have a page up, evanmarckatz.com/services. I am diversifying my portfolio, trying to make it easier to work together. The possibility of doing one-off VIP days, one-off coaching sessions, boot camps, stuff that doesn't require a long commitment, because I know people are instant gratification and have a hard time focusing for a long period of time. I do still very much believe in the idea of when you commit to something, you're going to get a better result, and then I'll be able to do more for you over 6 months than I will in an hour. But you now have the possibility of doing just 1 hour if that suits your preferences. If you have one dating assessment that you just need done, one big question that you need answer. Those are the kind of things that I'm putting on the menu in response to your needs. So go to evanmarckatz.com/services. If it's not up yet, my recommendation is to go to my website and just take the quiz that's right on the homepage, or go to evanmarckatz.com/relationships, put in your name and email address, get on my mailing list, and you'll be notified anytime new things come out. And in the next month, hopefully I will be coming out with a few new things that you can take advantage of, so that I can personally hold your hand through this process and make sure that you're making better choices with men, fix that broken man picker, and never find yourself in a relationship with a guy who doesn't make an effort ever again. My name is Evan Marc Katz. This is the Love You Podcast. If you enjoyed it, subscribe. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a positive review. Leave us a comment. Tell a friend. I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you for being a part of the Love You Podcast, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye-bye.